I'm guessing it's like 1 hour videos are condensed into like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't feel too nervous about watch the live camera.
Yeah.
I just take the bits where you're getting really into it.
Box 8 things where we put the questions.
Yes, please.
Oh, very good. Well done, Michelle.
Huh?
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
When we've done that bit, can everyone go back to box 4? Actually, do you know what? Stay in box 8 and we'll see if there's any Sorry. We'll see if there's any commonalities with where the kids want to take this inquiry.
Please after moving to history soon, I'll be back.
Okay, no worries.
Questions I had on the wonder one.
As long as there's a few of the main ones on there.
No. Last month it was how do you make paper? Last recycling.
How should we make it? Oh, that's a volcanic process, is it not?
I don't know.
I think they missed the units.
No, it was,
like the ones that come in the box. The top right.
Is that everybody?
Oh, sorry, no. Next one.
Lovely. So if you can read through and see whether there's any common themes that are coming up with what the children are interested in.
I feel like we should just take mine out completely.
No, it's interesting.
One of a few of them how our books made.
Yeah. I think, is there a way that we can incorporate this? I tried last year to find a good video about how stories and like how books are physically made.
No.
I couldn't find anything that's
No.
classroom worthy. But I do have some friends that know publishers. I could see if we could do a Skype.
I have a parent who works in educational publishing. I don't know if they have. Sophia's dad is educational publishing. I don't know if they have, because my kids were asking, they're like, well, you make cars in a factory, where do they make books?
Ask him to come and give a presentation.
Yeah.
He's really good at it.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be happy to do it for all classes?
I will find out.
He's very good.
I'll trade him because,
Enthusiastic.
yeah, he wants to come observe the class to see what IB looks like, so I told him he can come if he.
Any other commonalities? Anything else that we want to?
There's also in here in yours, how do you tell a funny story, and in mine is why are some so scary? So
Yeah.
based on
Genre.
emotions or genre, yeah.
It's not genre, is it? Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at how stories make us feel, what we could aim to do is to target specific like books that would inspire that kind of feeling, and make sure that they've got access to all of those books. So tell a relatively scary story, tell a really funny, a story that's supposed to be really comical, a story that's really, really sad.
you bring in the profiles and attitudes of the world.
Yeah.
You can focus on that through different stories.
Yeah, because one of them is enthusiasm, right? So
Yeah.
the way in which you tell a story, or even if you watch a storyteller on YouTube or whatnot, the different ways that they tell a story.
You can even do it through your dramas, your little centers you've set up with your puppets.
Yeah.
You can even use different voices and
Maybe we could do a bit of a, we could almost have have in your centre a little potluck, and they have to choose whether they have to tell a scary story, funny story, and then they have to make that role play.
That's really good.
Yeah.
You could do that for miming too, like
Yeah.
part of the morning you could have like a hat or a bag or something, they pull something out and then maybe they have to pretend that, you know, they're washing their hands or something like that, or brushing their teeth and how they would do it through miming.
You could also do it once we get further in the unit for how they tell the story. So they have to pull out of the bag, like you get to sing your story.
Yeah.
Out of the bag, you dance your story.
That would be really good.
Once they've looked at different ways.
So I'm going to put this on my phone now as, I'm going to call it like a lucky dip. That's what we call it in England, just a lucky dip.
When you pull something out of a hat?
Yeah.
Lucky dip.
You actually say that when you pick your lotto numbers. You just say
Yeah.
lucky dip, and you press a lucky dip button.
Oh, it's a
And then
lucky
you
dip
just get
button.
random
It's just like.
generation of numbers.
Okay.
So now every time you read
Is
that
it really
lucky
lucky
dip,
though?
Are you looking for an innuendo in there, aren't you? It's not. I promise you. It's not. I'll cut that bit out.
children to pick randomly a way of telling a story and a feeling the story should inspire.
Or it could be story/feeling. Like they could pull out like scared and they have to show a way that they're scared.
Okay.
Not necessarily through a story, but like just an emotion. Or an attitude.
Fab. Okay, so put that under finding out. Now, if we, what I want to do, because Kathy brought this up at the meeting on Tuesday, about how we should be doing a Kath Murdoch inquiry cycle for each line of inquiry, which I feel for this one we're kind of already doing, because we're teaching all of the lines of inquiry together. But what we need to do on this planet is make sure that we're actually doing something in tuning in for each line of inquiry, something for finding out for each line of inquiry, and just make sure that we're covering all of our bases. So if we finish putting what we did for tuning in, and check that we've got everything there, because we're finished with tuning in now, right? So we put on a surprise play in the Black Box Theatre, Little Red Riding Hood for the KG2 classes. Children reflect on what the main idea of the story was and how they felt. We unpack the central idea. Looked at summative assessment through the pre-assessment. You might have had a conversation with your kids about what that's going to look like. If you haven't, if you can find time this week to talk to your kids about what the end goal is going to be, that would be really good, so at least they've got that in mind. Children to tell a favourite and familiar story, so that was our pre-assessment, and one or more questions. Have we done anything else for tuning in that I've not included on here?
Did you already say like the different ways in which you can tell a story? Oh, no, that was pre-assessment, sorry.
Yeah, because they told a favourite or a familiar story. And I think really for that we've hit all the lines of inquiry, because we've got things that inspire how something makes them feel, and we've talked about it in the pre-assessment and we did the play. We've assessed whether they know different ways of telling stories through the pre-assessment, and I don't feel like I focus very much on what we can learn from stories. Has anybody really hit
I have a little bit, yeah. Just because when we were talking about the big idea, or the main idea of stories, that came up a lot for the kids. That's how I tried to describe it to them, was the message or the lesson.
like in your daily reading?
Yeah.
It's a bit more when you get into the fables and stuff too, the moral of the story.
Yeah. So what we could do is put a tuning in before we get to our week of fables, so it kind of gets them excited about learning meaning from stories.
Or could they rewrite like Little Red Riding Hood and they could change the ending somehow?
Yeah. So if you look on where's the
I lost it now. Oh, here it is.
So if you look, all this is a checkbox. So do they tell a familiar story? Do they tell a traditional story, or do they create their own?
So could it be that like just one sentence for like the beginning, middle, or end, or are you looking for something like detailed for them to?
So here you've got basic, detailed, or complex. So basic, I would say, is a boy went to the shop, then he came home. Like really,
Just minimal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas detailed and complex, I would say detailed is probably make sure that it's structured. You've got a beginning, you've got a middle, you've got an end, possibly a problem, and then complex is going to be a really detailed story.
Okay.
Would everyone agree with that?
I have to. Thank you. And we've said they're doing this on their own, it's not in groups this time.
For the summer?
Yeah, they can what we did last year, and you can do it whichever way works in your classroom, but we basically allowed the children to choose. Because if they want to write a story, they have to do that probably mostly independently.
Right.
But if they want to do a role play, then they might want to get 4 children together. And last year it worked really nicely. I had a few groups of 4, I had a few pairs that wanted to do it, I had some children doing mime all by themselves or writing stories. It was a real mix, which was really, really nice. Might not look like it this year, but last year it worked really nicely. So,
Perfect.
and if you're getting them to start thinking about it now, thinking about building up to the summative assessment, they're probably starting to get ideas about what they'd like to do.
Can they do poetry if they choose to for this?
I don't think we should put really any limitations on how they want to tell a story.
You need to give them a variety of ways, they can use puppets, they can use a
Yeah.
Diorama?
Yeah.
A series of dioramas, some kids like that as well.
What we need to make sure is as we're building up to the summative assessment, we've given the children enough time to prepare any resources that they want to make. If they're writing a story, they might need to pre-do a story map. It's going to take a couple of days. If they're role playing, they might want to make some props or puppets. They might want to make their own puppets. So we need to make sure that we give them a couple of days before that to do it. I think I put it into the planning doc. Let's see.
Some kids even may make a poster but use 3D and pop-up things for characters. That's a nice way of doing it as well.
Yeah, that is nice. Right, okay, I've got you on leave on the 12th of May, is that right? Yeah.
12, 13, 14, very much, yeah.
Okay. Our summative assessment week is also Arts Festival week, which is going to probably cause us a few problems. So I thought maybe on the Wednesday and Thursday the previous week is when we start prepping for our summative. The children can decide what they want to do and start making resources.
So like week 4,
Yes.
and then week 5 is art week and summative.
I'm not sure, sort of gonna spread it out a bit too, if you try to do too many kids on one day, the kids just get restless sitting there watching different stories being told all the time, whatever, so don't really do it. Give it a time, switch it up a little bit.
So, finding out activities we need to put onto the planner. What have we done already? If people shout things out, I can just type them in.
I did miming,
Yeah.
so what I actually did, you want to know? Or-
Yes, please.
So I showed them the video that you posted, and then afterwards, each of them, I I gave them different scenarios, like they're walking through honey, or they're walking through the forest looking for a mouse, or they're brushing their teeth, or washing their hands, and they had to act it out without using words.
Nice. Can you put the video link into box 5?
Is that
I think that's right, actually. I think that's right, actually.
the link that
It's 5
you,
is resources, right?
Yeah. Yes, please. What else have we done for finding out so far? We could put the Snow Queen playing, can't we?
Yeah.
Is there just one performance today or two?
One.
at what time?
Sarah, I've just put you to find out if parent will present to the class about how books are made.
I'm trying to do it right now.
Thank you. What else have we done for finding out so far? Has anyone else done anything?
I'm just trying to look through the planner to remember.
I'm going to put this morning's activity, so children role playing different scenarios as whole class.
We've used the storybox, you know, the one that gives like the character, the place, the sentiment, so on.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the story, the children find a bit of mind or role play that.
Nice.
So to give them ideas as well.
We have a lot of natural miming anyway going on in ELL. So
All the time.
Miming.
all the time,
Yeah.
guess what I'm saying?
What's it called, Karen? Story?
It's just the storybox, it's one that we all have.
The
storytelling
Tell- Yeah, the
Yeah.
purple
Yeah.
thing. I did the miming where I put a box in the middle and I told them it's a magic box and everybody takes something out of it and they have to act it out and then they have to, everybody guesses what it is.
That's nice.
So.
Some of mine got it and some of them just... It was really fun. They're like, he's got grapes!
Great imagination.
Yeah.
You could also use the ones, the same idea, but you just use one object, pass it around in a circle.
Yeah, I was
Or
gonna
something.
suggest
that.
Use
Something,
like a toothbrush, or a hairbrush, or a hoover,
That's
or a, it's quite nice.
nice.
To get their imagination going, it's nice.
Yeah, it gives them something concrete.
Yeah.
Children can select. It's got characters,
Setting.
setting, and isn't there like a basic story?
Yeah.
Anything else for finding out that we've done or are planning to do? What else is on the planner?
After the Riding Hood production, so this is kind of in between tuning it, finding out, I've had the kids separate, like write the characters and the setting and then the beginning, middle, and end of that story, and then they also role played it. So they've used that story in different ways.
That's nice. So we could put under finding out deconstruct a familiar story.
Yeah.
For our group, I asked them, after lived happily ever after, what happens after that?
Yeah.
Because for Rapunzel, we said the prince and, princess lived happily ever after, and then we went back and said, so what happened to Rapunzel's parents?
That's really
So then we
nice.
start thinking, was there more to the story after that?
Mhm.
It's got interesting on me.
I also read the story, one of the girls took it out from the library called The End, and it actually starts with like happily ever after and it works backwards to,
Nice.
so, and that's actually good for sequencing, which I just found out. So I read them the whole story and then all of a sudden, or I asked them, so what happened next, what happened next, what happened next, so they were able to tell me like the sequence of events, and it was weird to read the story from oh, happily ever after, and then work your way to the beginning. So I have that, if you guys wanna borrow it from one of
Karen,
them.
this is really good for sequencing. I mean, you
Yeah.
juggle them up and ask them to do them. Which one do you think comes first, second, third?
So the Pine Corbett stuff I'm using a fair bit of, but do you know when you were just saying, you just made me think of something like, excuse me, now we're thinking about stories and perspective. I'm sure there's a few stories of, it's possibly Red Riding Hood, but it's telling from the Wolf's perspective. I think I got it in a library. Yeah, is it the Big Bad Wolf?
Well, it's like, I know exactly.
And it tells
yeah.
it from the Wolf's
Perspective.
perspective, so that might be a bit of a good one to use.
Three Little Pigs done as well, I just read it.
Yeah.
Another good one is, I haven't been able to find a copy here yet, Mr. Wolf's Pancakes. I lost it while I was on supply a few years ago, but basically Mr. Wolf, he lives in a village full of fairy tale characters, he wants to make some pancakes. So he goes around and no one will help him count his money, no one will help him go to the shops and get his ingredients, no one will help him read the recipe book, so he ends up doing it all by himself. He makes the pancakes, and then everyone comes knocking on his door and they're like, we want pancakes. So he's like, alright, he does this really nice thing, he lets them all in, shuts the door, eats them all, and then eats the pancakes. And it's really good.
There's a video on YouTube. I beat you, Mr. Brian.
Oh yeah.
Got it right here.
Next time.
Can you link it straight
Yep,
to
no
the
problem.
resources? Thank you. Okay, anything else we're finding out?
I also did sequencing cards for Goldilocks and the Three Bears, which I think you sent. During morning meeting or whatnot, so they were all laid out in the middle of the carpet. And I just wrote the numbers really small in the back, and then they had to sequence Goldilocks.
Lovely.
They're doing sequencing with me as well with the Scratch Junior. It's programming but very simple. It's like jigsaw puzzles. So they'll have to get, let's say, a pigeon from the left of the screen to the right of the screen on a ledge, and they'll just drag in the sequence blocks. And if they don't fit, then it won't work. If they do fit, then it will work. So it takes maybe 2 or 3 times trial and error. It's very simple, but that's that is sequencing. That's what programming is. Just got to put my 2 pennies in.
Good. So if I take, and then we have to decide which line of inquiry each one goes under. So we can decide. Oh, we should. We can make our own pancakes. I don't know.
Every child who chooses child eats first, and then. Give them an option. Don't give them an option.
Choose your pancake or friend. I would choose friend. It's bigger.
It's bigger.
Tasty.
Interesting.
Hello. Hello. Just turn around and say hello, otherwise you'll be in the back of your head the entire video. Just the only face right, so we know who you are.
Okay. This will either work or it won't. But can everyone just cut and paste one of these finding out activities into? Can you see I've just put the lines of inquiry in there?
Where are you, Bob? What?
So under finding out, pages 4.
Four.
So finding out, I've put the lines of inquiry. So now we need to split these activities into those lines of inquiry and make sure we've got something for finding out for all of them. Just cut and paste one.
Are you holding that for security, or can you come and do a bit of tech solution?
What?
Do you need to be holding that, doesn't it?
No, I'm swiveling it round. It's not in a fixed position.
I can put like Mr. Wolf's pancakes.
I'll film myself helping you. There we go. I'm gonna help Kat.
Something, right?
Yeah, so and also the fact that it's like when you expect to as well, because you know you think it's doing this really good thing.
Yes, I'm trying to be
You should know more than me.
It's actually something that's so sorry for everything.
Yeah.
Why are they being so horrible to him? Nobody shouldn't have any pancakes. He shouldn't share. And then I was being really nice that he shared, even though it was so horrible to him. Oh, he's eating.
That's just getting a little nice.
See, I did the red hen, and my kids were like, he's being very unprincipled. Like, when they wouldn't share, when they wouldn't help, they're like, oh, you're the most.
It's not just me.
There we go.
See, and then if you make pancakes, I can make pancakes, homemade pancakes, that's why I like pancakes. But then you can divide the pancakes in half, which talk about math.
Everyone takes like 10 tries.
Daniel, you said you wanted to match up the lines of inquiry with an activity.
Yeah, so like for it, if you look, so it's like deconstruct familiar stories, character setting, beginning, middle and end.
Sleeping in the seat.
You would do that under the line of inquiry one, how we can tell a story.
So you want these all sort of copy and pasted into both boxes too?
Not copied, cut and paste them.
Cut in box two.
Do you have to pay for Twinkle stuff?
Yeah.
TWINKL?
It's
Some of it.
free, but the good stuff's normally subscription.
All the good stuff.
I've got a yearly subscription
Yeah,
that I
got a
can send to
subscription.
everybody.
Oh, if you could, there's Mr. Wolf's pancakes galore on this.
Ooh. Oh,
Sparkle box is free.
They're all blue and pale yellow.
Just like that, what's
That's the
it's fine, it's fine.
Okay,
30?
10, maybe. At 10, 10 will work.
You don't want to go swimming with your kids? I'm gonna go on Thursday. It's a reward if they're good at swimming this time. They did an amazing job going in and sitting quietly and listening to Mr. Allen. And
The reward is you swimming?
Yeah. So they're so desperate for it, so I said, if you're great at swimming today, you know, kind to our new student.
Do you enjoy going in the swimming?
Pardon?
It's always
Here's a
one of my
reward.
kids
Oh,
who's
I've got
at the
myself
race
into
with
it.
us.
You enjoy it?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but that's probably only baby swimming. We were looking at that when we were driving by.
Depending on the most convenient time, but we choose 5 to year 5. I've got this one. I haven't got the unit of inquiry.
For what?
What's your Gmail?
It's my name, Rupert Whitty, at googlemail.com.
Got it.
Number food or nothing.
What is it?
Number 2.
Which box it is, sorry.
Box 4.
It's right at the bottom. Not big enough cut in
Thank you.
and then-
Okay, having activities with the lines of inquiry.
So the activities that I have is just
Thank you.
taking them
Are you still meeting for the next 15 minutes?
Writing down an inquiry.
and then
We're just going to carry on with this basically until
put them onto the block.
Sorry, Danielle. I think you've
So they don't
the
all
wrong one, accepted the one I already have. I need the unit of inquiry.
The PYP plan,
The
the
PYP
PYP plan.
It's very, I just.
Yeah, I just hit share on.
There's not one for
That's
sound?
So it should be shared on my one.
Is that what I did?
Yeah.
There's Sophie, Sophia, and Druzy only, and the rest of the staff.
Yeah. Sorry, well, I'll just go back. This is the email you sent. Just now.
Bye-bye.
This is